Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another live webinar session brought to you by EE Tech Media and allaboutcircuits.com. My name is Jason Montgomery, and I'll be the moderator for this session here today. We're very excited to have you here for this session, which is titled OMRON's High Performance Switches for the Esports Gaming Industry. I'll take a moment to tell you a bit about our presenter in a moment, but first, let me remind everyone that you've got that Q&A box that's in the corner of your screen there, and please make sure to be using that to submit any questions that you might have as we're listening to this session here today. I'm very excited to get Evan's presentation, and I know that we'll have a good Q&A session after the presentation we're about to hear. Let me tell you a bit about our presenter, and I'll hand it off to him. Our presenter is Evan Kuhn, who is a business development manager for OMRON. He attended Northern Illinois University, where he obtained his Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering Technology. Starting as a product marketing intern with OMRON, Evan began his career in inside sales after school and then became the territory manager for the Pacific Northwest. Currently residing in Seattle, he is now OMRON's business development manager for the automated test equipment and esport industries. Very excited to have Evan and OMRON here today. And again, everyone, please make sure to be submitting those questions as we go through this presentation. And with that, I will hand it off to Evan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much and welcome in to OMRON's latest webinar. My name is Evan Kuhn, Business Development Manager, and today I'm going to be presenting on high-performance switches for the esports gaming industry, primarily targeted at performance mice and controllers. So before we get into today's webinar, I would like to start it off with a survey question, one of 4, and these are going to be presented throughout today's webinar. I'd like to give each of you all a little bit of time, maybe 10 to 20 seconds, just to answer these questions. The first of which being, before we get into today's webinar, which product category best describes how you recognize OMRON within gaming? This could be our flagship mice series of switches, our keyboard switches, switches found within competitive controllers, or maybe you know us from a component in another industry or in another industry altogether. So go ahead and take some time to answer that question. There will be 4 of these throughout today's webinar, and you'll go ahead and be able to answer those retroactively if you do miss when they pop up. So OMRON as a corporation is a multi-division company, and we have the mission statement of pursuing innovation driven by social needs for creating a better society. And this is made up split as a goal between 4 different divisions, one of which being our industrial automation business, our device and module solutions business, our social systems solutions and service, as well as healthcare. Our products that we'll be discussing today are found within our device and module solutions business, which is made up of 4 different component categories, that being relays, switches, sensors, and connectors. So Device and Module Solutions Company from OMRON, with our connecting and switching technologies, aims to become a company that resolves societal issues with its customers, you guys. And so with that, we have split up into 8 different subcategories that we see a need in different industries to address those social needs. One of which being our DC drive devices, our DC infrastructure devices targeted towards the electrification of vehicles and green energy, such as solar power, which can utilize our high power relays, our high frequency devices, which is targeted towards enabling 5G and improving upon semiconductor chip technologies to improve the information age, as well as our remote and VR devices, which our esports switches fall within as these headsets continue to adapt, not only for gaming, but also in educational purposes and situations, as well as providing people with disabilities the ability to find different needs within their homes and ail those enablements. We also have automotive relays for mobility, a presence within our pachinko slot machines, factory automation, as well as smart home and building for some of our IoT and sensing technologies. So today's webinar within DMS is going to be all about high performance switches for esports. This is primarily targeted towards controllers and performance mice. So before we dive into our 3 different switches we'll be covering today, I'd like to ask my second survey question. Which category best defines the product that you are considering OMRON performance switches for? Is it a gaming mouse or potentially a ergonomic or business style of mouse, a controller for performance and esports, as well as PC or console varying peripheral, other types of styles of keyboards or mice, or another product category altogether that might utilize some type of snap action detection switch? So I'll go ahead and give you all a few seconds to answer. And the 3 switches that we will be covering today cover a wide variety of operations, shapes, and sizes, as including functionality. The first being our D2FC flagship mouse switch. This is a micro switch that has operations offerings at 5, 10, 20, 50, and 60 million operations. This is our flagship mouse switch, which has recently been improved at the 50 and 60 million operation range to improve that click feeling and provide gamers with that instant feedback that they know that signal is being sent and they've done their actuation, so they can move on to the next action when millions of dollars are on the line in these styles of tournaments. We've also worked closely with mice manufacturers with the D2FC to understand, as mice continued to trend towards a more wireless, lightweight solution, manufacturers wanted to maintain that battery life that they were achieving. And by doing this, one of the things was sending a lower electrical signal, which was causing chatter within switches. So we've worked closely to develop this switch, tweak it to the exact signal that mice manufacturers are sending. So we're able to provide gamers with those true 60 million operation ratings, that they can experience the same click feeling and understand that they're going to have that signal sent from operation 1 all the way to operation 60 million. So we'll get into more on the D2FC as well as our brand new D2FP optical mouse switch. This is a brand new offering from OMRON using sensing technology to achieve an operation rating all the way up to 70 million operations. And that's the first mouse switch that we'll be covering today. We'll also go in depth on our ultra sub miniature switch, the D2LS, which has been featured in competitive controllers with operation ranging from 5 million, 10 million, and 20 million operations. This is a great solution as well for mice side buttons, so it provides dual application in that regard as well. So getting into our first mouse switch of the day, which is the D2FP optical switch, a brand new solution from OMRON. This mouse switch is the next generation of mice switch, which is a segment that we've dominated with the D2FC and really achieved an industry standard in mice switch. By moving to a sensing technology, we're able to achieve a fast response time and high reliability. However, gamers will be at ease to know and pleased to understand that they're still going to be feeling that same click feeling that they know and love and have used with OMRON products for decades, as that has been recognized as the de facto standard in mice buttons, inherited directly from the D2FC. And we'll get into a little bit about how we're able to achieve that in a sensing product. So that key feature being that fast response time, going from switching contacts and having some type of debounce, now where you're sending a signal through a sensor, you're able to send that almost immediately, providing a much more fast response time, giving gamers still that tactile feedback of a snap action switch. By moving to a sensing technology, we also can achieve extreme high reliability all the way up to 70 million operations, and you don't have to worry about contacts rubbing or failing over time as that material wears down. This is also a lower power consumption product by enabling different turn on and turn off times of the LED. So by having the LED off for a majority of your polling rate, this allows to save power within your mice over time. And of course, achieving that same clear click feeling that gamers love so that they can feel that tactile feedback, understand that signal is sent, and they can move on to their next action, especially when it matters most in these tournaments. So going further in depth into that response time, and you can see side by side just how it stacks up to a mechanical switch, even at a high industry standard like the D2FC. The D2FP optical switch is able to achieve a response time of just 15 microseconds, and comparing that to a mechanical switch, which has a typical response time of 5 milliseconds. And the reason being is that you don't have any signal bounce. So once that LED is tripped within the sensor embedded within the switch, it sends that signal directly through the mouse to your machine. Whereas opposed to using a mechanical switch, there's going to be some contact between the contacts, which allows for debouncing and a little bit of a signal bounce time, causing that 5 millisecond delay. So this is ultimately providing a much faster solution for competitive gamer and your customers, consumers. Achieving both the clear click feeling along with low power consumption embedded with a LED and sensing technology is really what OMRON wanted to achieve with the D2FP. And they worked incredibly hard to achieve that same high click ratio and that clear click feeling that everyone recognizes from the D2FC. So it wouldn't feel like gamers are really going through this drastic change, right? They still recognize maybe all between the different mice that they use when OMRON is in there. That's the feeling that they prefer the most. And so we're still able to bring that feeling to them just with a lot more quality and longevity now in a sensing solution. And we have low friction with a smooth operation feel. You don't have to worry about contacts rubbing together, rather just a shutter that's tripping these sensing beams. The same click sound as well as the mechanical switch because we're pulling in that same lever from the D2FC. And low power consumption with the polling rate. You have your switch input polling rate at just 30 microseconds with that turn on time of 15 microseconds allows you to turn that LED off for an extended period of time through the polling rate of 1 millisecond, which allows you to save battery in your mouse overall, keep that lightweight design while moving to a premium optical solution. Is really where the market is trending. And we know it's what gamers want, a mouse that's not going to fail on them when it matters most. So how we achieve that clear click feeling and low power consumption in a one body design. As you can see on the left-hand side of our screen here, we're looking at an internal view of the D2FP structure alongside the D2FC structure. And in the D2FP and the D2FC, you can notice that semicircle that's making contact. That's providing gamers with that tactile feeling, that same tactile feeling. However, this time, as opposed to that being used to send a pulse and a signal directly to a contact, which again caused that 5 millisecond bounce time, instead, we have it attached to a low friction shutter, which you see at the bottom of your screen. And what that does is the moment you get that tactile feeling, you know that that shutter is going to be tripping a sensor between the emitter and the collector, the two separate LEDs, as you can see across the body of the switch. There's one on the near side and one on the far side. And so OMRON really worked hard to achieve that quality level so that when gamers feel that tactile feedback, they know that that signal is being tripped. And it allows us to give customers the confidence that they're getting that OMRON quality and they don't have to worry about sensor alignment or any type of struggle. And because it's the same materials internally, you're getting that same click sound and feeling that's the de facto standard from the D2FC. This low power consumption is also found within a one body design as the optical sensor is assembled inside of the switch. And so what that looks like and provides a greater value to you, the customer and mouse manufacturer, that we're able to embed the sensor already. So you don't have to go out and find that sensor, procure it, as well as align it properly on your board where you have to do some type of high accuracy adjustment to ensure when that shutter drops down and the gamer feels that tactile feedback, that they're getting that signal sent from the sensor at the same time. So because we embedded this into the OMRON switch, we're providing that guarantee to you that when the gamer gets that tactile feedback, that signal is being sent at that same moment. And this is something that we really worked hard on to achieve and provide that value to our customers and mice manufacturers throughout the globe, as opposed to them having to go out and procure their own solution to find what's necessary. This is something that we really wanted to add as a feature in the D2FP, and we've been able to achieve it at a high level. So we're very excited to get this product out for you all so that you can get it in your hands and start testing this technology. Now that we concluded our D2FP optical mouse switch, I would like to kick it off with our third survey question of the day. Which switch contact style are you currently using in your products? Just to get a better sense, whether that's a mechanical switch already within a mouse or even a controller. Are you already using an optical solution within mice? Or primarily for the controller crowd, are you using a membrane solution? Great. Thanks so much for your feedback on that. And now we'll get into our mechanical side of the presentation, starting with our flagship D2FC micro switch. The D2FC has really been proven as the de facto standard for years within mice switch, especially gaming mice, as it provides gamers with that sound and crisp click feeling that they know and love. And we've also been at the forefront of providing that high durability, working together with mice manufacturers to achieve and understand the signal that they want to send. As mice trended towards more lightweight, lower power operation, we wanted to ensure that even though the industry moved that way, our switches are caught up to speed, and that way we're not experiencing any type of double click, and that gamers are getting that full crisp click solution from operation 1 all the way to 60 million operations. So as you can see with the variety of operations, these are clearly designed for long life, from a plethora of offerings, from something more economical to something more in the mid-range for gaming mice, as well as all the way at the high end for 60 million. We provide that clear click feeling and nice sound, which we're constantly tweaking and improving to provide gamers more of that tactile feedback that they appreciate, especially when it matters most, so they can move on to that next action. We're giving them relief and reliable performance, knowing that that operation is going to work from 1 all the way to 60 million. And you're providing you with the customer with the durability range and offerings from 5 all the way to 60 million operations at 10, 20, 50, as well as 60. We also offer a variety of operating forces depending on your feeling preference, from 0.44 to 0.74 newtons. The button color is dependent on your operation selection, white being from 5 to 20, a blue plunger showcased at 50 million, and an orange at 60 million. And all of this found within a very small package size of 12.8 by 5.8 by 6.5 millimeters. So you can see here a further look at some of these dimensions. If you'd like any type of samples, of course, of the D2FC and the recent improvements for double click, as well as click feeling, please feel free to reach out to your local OMRON sales contact. This is something that we've worked hard and have since rolled out. That way we can keep up with that industry trend and provide gamers with it, continue to be the name that provides that high quality solution in those mice products. From our flagship D2FC, we'll now switch gears into the ultra sub miniature switch, our D2LS. This ultra sub miniature switch, which has been found in side switches for mice, as well as now being adopted heavily in the controller gaming scene. This is a compact surface mount switch that's ideal for applications that require that long durability, which is why we've seen it really adopted and grabbed onto in that custom controller market. And we're looking to continue to broaden that and provide gamers that not only the PC gamers have experienced the benefit of using mice switches with that immediate tactile feedback, but bringing that to the console generation as well. And so these are offered in a very compact size of just 8.6 by 4.8 by 3 millimeters. You're getting that clear click feeling that transfers over, something similar from the D2FC. So we can bring that into multiple surfaces within a controller. So these are not only being found as just a solution for maybe your face buttons, but also your D-pad. We've seen this adopted into the bumpers and even triggers of controllers. So for anyone that's more focused in the competitive gaming, such as a first-person shooter, as opposed to waiting for that full trigger press before they can move on to their next action, Some gamers are moving towards a snap action switch. That way they know exactly they're getting that tactile feedback when that signal is going to be sent to the game, and they can get on to their next action just like as if it was a mouse switch. So it's really a great solution for that, not only in the triggers, but the face buttons as well. If you're doing something like a fighting game or sports game, you're getting that immediate feeling and feedback. Whereas if you were using something like a membrane solution, rather, you're not necessarily certain when exactly that press is sent at the exact moment. You know, when you complete the full actuation that the signal will be sent, but at what point is the signal sent? And that's where it becomes a little muddy with membrane. It also will not provide the operation ratings as something like an ultra sub miniature basic switch would. So we have operation ratings from 5 to 10 to 20 million operations at a varying operating force of 1.2 newtons to 0.6 newtons. The plunger color is going to be dependent on your selection of operating force, as well as body color is dependent on the operation ratings. Again, very compact size in surface mount switching. We have since found this adoption into the controller market and have made some adjustments to the switch for that. So you'll notice in the dimension picture on your right-hand side that there are 2 retention clips found on the bottom of the switch. We have since come up with a model that removes those for ease of solderability directly onto FPC connectors, especially making it easier to install into a controller solution. So you're able to create an FPC, adopt these into your D-pad, your face buttons, as well as your bumper and triggers with ease. With that, that concludes my product category for the day. I'd like to conclude our presentation with a final survey question before we get into some of the more OMRON related details. But over the course of today's presentation, between the D2FP, the D2FC, as well as the D2LS, which feature is most important to your products and consumers? We'd like to know if it's something along the lines of high durability based on the operation rating. Is it that repeatable click feeling that gamers cling on to over the years? Or is it that fast response time so that they know exactly when that signal's sent? They don't have to worry about any type of debouncing. Or is it another? And it's maybe something that we might be able to chat about more offline, or you can provide it in the chat or in the Q&A of today's webinar. So I'll give you some time to answer that question before we move on. You can find us at these great locations. Components.omron.com is our website, where we will be producing an esports landing page featuring some of the products that you saw today, where you can get a little bit more technical information. I strongly encourage you to also follow us on LinkedIn so you can find out about different events, as well as our fantastic Creative Lab series that we've been uploading to our YouTube channel as well. And you can always get our updates directly on Twitter using these QR codes below, or you can search us via OMRON Electronic Components Americas as well. Our headquarters location found in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. That's it for today's presentation. Again, my name is Evan Kuhn, Business Development Manager for our esports industry. You can find my location. Feel free to reach out to me directly at evan.kuhn@omron.com. We can chat a little bit offline about some of these, maybe set up a technical presentation going in depth on some of these switches. If you'd like to request pricing or any type of samples, please feel free to reach out to your local OMRON sales contact. If you do not have the information, please go to our website and you can reach out to them directly, and feel free to contact us at any time. I would now like to open the floor up to any questions for our Q&A. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Evan, very much. This is Jason here again. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Jason. I can hear you.
Fantastic. Well, Evan, thank you so much for that presentation. As you were just saying, we're going to get into some Q&A that we've gotten in just a moment. As another reminder to people, if you have anything that's come up during the presentation, this is a perfect time to get these questions in front of Evan, and we're excited to go into those in just a moment. I'll also note to anyone who's watching this session on any of our social media services or who are streaming that we're going to be closing down these live streams right now, and that you can hop onto the All About Circuits registration page and be able to come into the big marker page to watch the Q&A live as well. So make sure that you're joining in for that. And Evan, with that, I can see we've got a good number of questions. So let's start going through these. The first thing that I'm seeing here is, are there different